Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Aaron, better known as TeAmoAaron. If you're new to my channel, welcome. I'm so happy that you're here. I'm always very pale. Why? I'm eating my breakfast. Watermelon. So good. This video is going to be about me getting my dream job in Atlanta at Georgia Tech. I really don't know a lot of young professional women or men who are in student affairs. And if you're not sure what student affairs is, I'll put a little blurb here about what it is. And I don't know anyone like my age who's interested in student affairs. So I, wanted to gear this video towards the interview process and what to expect, what to do, how I got this job. On April 20th, I just went online just searching and found that they had a posting. So I took about a week to update my resume, update my cover letter. So whenever you're applying for a job, make sure that your resume is geared toward what the job is looking for. I actually officially applied for the job April 27th. As of mid-May, still heard nothing. Heard nothing at all the rest of April, nothing at all in May. So then on June 21st, 2018, like almost exactly 2 months later, I get a phone call from a 404-770-678, I can't remember, but some Atlanta area code. I was at my desk in my office and I looked down at my phone and I was like, I don't know who this is, but it's an Atlanta number. I need to answer. So I literally was like, they ran out my office, answered the phone, and they're like, hey, Miss Thompson, you have a phone interview scheduled for July 5th. So that's another freaking 2 weeks. So I was like, great, thanks for the opportunity. Phone interview was scheduled. From June 21st to July 5th, I was prepping every single day or every other day. So tip number 1, look at the job description. Look at each task that's listed in the job description. There's gonna be a list of requirements that position needs. So what I did was write out each task. I believe there was like 7 different tasks that job role would fulfill. And I wrote out how my experience directly relates to that task. Does that make sense? On my handy dandy bullet journal, I just wrote out on these 2 pages the job tasks, and then underneath each task how Aaron's skills and Aaron's experiences relates to that task. And this helped me prep because most likely the job is not going to ask you things that are not in the list of tasks or the lists of requirements for that job description. They're not going to ask you things outside of that realm. They're not going to ask you about astrophysics if nothing in this list of task requirements, whatever the word is not in there. If there's no physics in there, they're not going to ask you about physics. So this really helped me lay out my qualifications and back up those qualifications with real life examples. Tip number 2, I wrote out a ton of questions that I thought they may ask me. So I just thought of questions from my brain, questions that I had when I got my current job that they asked, questions from the internet. I just typed in student affairs, student conduct type questions, and I wrote all of them down. And again, they're not gonna ask you about astrophysics, so I can kind of hone in what they may ask or kind of a general around what they may ask. Potential interview questions are usually around the job, usually around, do you know about the institution? Have you done any research on who Georgia Tech is, what their mission is, who their president is, what they stand for? And those were the kind of questions that I came up with. It was like 30 questions. It just kind of helped me lay out that I can fulfill what you need in this job because XYZ. It's better than you just saying, yes, I can do that, I can do that. But what have you done to show that you can do that? Tip number 3, every other night for the next 2 weeks from June 21st to July 5th, I would ask myself all 20, 30 questions that I came up with. I would ask them out loud. I would talk as if the interviewer was right in front of me. I look so stupid, but I'm here by myself, and I do talk with my hands a lot. So I would do that. I would talk with my hands. I would say it exactly as if I was in the interview. I would be making jokes to myself, just planning everything and making it organic. I did not memorize anything. It was just a conversation that I was having as if I was in the interview. I don't suggest you memorize, because then if you get off, like if you are like, oh my God, I memorized this, but I can't remember, because when you get in there, the pressure's on, you may forget. But if it's a conversation, it's always been like a flow, it just kind of comes naturally. If you have a friend call you. I would call my friend on the phone, send her the list of questions and say, hey, can you ask me these questions? And that was really, really helpful. And then she gave me feedback. I even did it on FaceTime, and I realized I do this. When I say during interviews, I do this. Like I was like rolling my eyes, like weird, and they were like, stop doing that. I was like, I didn't even realize. So it's good to have someone be able to see you so they can see your body language and tell you, hey, Aaron, don't slouch. Make sure you're sitting up. Make sure you're not rolling your eyes in the back of your head like a freaking psycho. Tip number 4, I prepared follow-up questions. So at the end of every interview that I've ever had in my life, they'll say, okay, now that we know a little bit more about you, you know, what questions do you have for us? And it's very important that you ask those questions because it shows that you actually care about the job. It's not just, oh, how do you like Georgia Tech? Like, no, you're trying to show them that you have done research and that you're actually interested in what they're doing. So the night before interview day, July 4th, I cleaned my entire apartment. In order for me to have a clear mind, I need my space to be clean. So I cleaned the kitchen, I cleaned my room, cleaned up and tidied up in the living room, you know, vacuumed, all that good stuff so that I could feel good in my mind as well as in my environment. I was very nervous on interview day. It looked like hell on earth. I'm a little scared. My Georgia Tech interview is today. Today is July 5th. Ordering my breakfast.
Thank you for choosing Starbucks. What can I get for you?
Hi, can I get a venti passion tea? Do you also have, I think it's a cinnamon swirl coffee cake? Envelope system, envelope system. It's like do or die interview. I'm very dramatic. I'm going to work now. For my lunch break, I will be doing the interview. And that's another thing, like I need to keep it away from my coworkers so they don't know. Another tip, if you are interviewing, do not tell your coworkers. Do not tell your coworkers. Even if you're really close to one and you know that this person won't say anything, no, don't tell them. It's a business decision for you. And don't feel bad that you're leaving. Don't feel bad that you want something different. So I say keep it to yourself. Okay guys, the interview starts in 15 minutes. That's unattractive. I'm so nervous. I've been preparing all week, asking myself all these questions. I'm just gonna stop reviewing and just let it flow. And if it doesn't happen naturally, then I don't know. But it's just a conversation. Like I just need to answer the questions. Just answer the question. If you don't know the answer, say you don't know, you know? And so I think I'm just afraid, like if I just had the question so I could just know, you know, obviously that would be helpful. But I think I'm afraid they're gonna ask me something and I'm gonna choke. I'm terrified of choking. And if I choke, I'm just gonna take my time. I have all my notes with me on my desk. This is my interview attire. I had to get comfortable, so I'll be back. But the interview was a breeze. The interview was a breeze. They asked me the questions that I had made up for myself were half the questions because I had prepared so much and because I had written out my experience and because I had written out those tasks, those qualifications and put my own experience into those, because I could show that I was qualified for the job. It made it easier. Even if I didn't necessarily know that exact question they were gonna ask me, I knew around it because it wasn't about quantum physics. It was about what I had studied. From July 7th to July 10th, I was in Houston with my family. All right, 1, 2, go. Round 3. I can't get on this. Get on this. Hard. Round 3. 1, 2, 3. So July 10th, I was in my Uber, headed back to the airport to come from Houston to El Paso. I got a call in my Uber that said that I had an on-campus interview. So for all my student affairs people, on-campus interviews are a must. After the phone interview, it might be a phone or Skype interview. After that, they'll bring you on campus if they like you. They will fly you out. If it's, you know, close to your home, they'll pay your gas. So everything is free for you. Scheduled my on campus for July 27th. So that's 2 more weeks. And I'm telling you, this process is so long and you have to wait and wait and wait. It's just exhausting.
Early closing, about 86.
just arrived in Atlanta. I'm nervous. My interview's not for a couple days, but it's still like the reality of this is happening. Like I'm really interviewing for this amazing school that I could never get into undergrad because my grades were too bad. Flight was good, everything was good. Just waiting on my Uber. No real updates here. Just about to head to the crib and get some food.
Hi, sissy. I followed you on Find My Friend app so I could see where you were. Wait, where you go?
You're hurting me. Ow. 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 And the way I practiced for my on-campus is the exact same way I practiced for my phone interview, the exact same way. So July 27th. So on-campus interviews are all day. You're meeting with different stakeholders from across the campus. It's tough. It's tough. It could be from sometimes 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. and you're just interview back to back to back. Even on lunch, you're meeting with somebody and you're having lunch with that person. It's a lunch interview. So at this point at the on-campus interview, the interviewers, the institution knows that you're qualified. They're just trying to pick who's the best fit for their institution. You know, let your personality shine, but understand that you are picking them as well. Just because they picked you to come on campus does not mean that you will love that institution. You need to ask the questions that are going to be like, hey, what's going to make me want to be even a part of this institution. You may get to the on-campus interview and find out that everyone's crazy and you're like, I absolutely do not want this. So just as much as they're interviewing you, you need to be interviewing them. Make sure that you bring pen and paper. So I brought my bullet journal and I wrote out all my questions that I wanted to ask. I had an agenda of who I was going to speak to so I could tailor my follow-up questions to who I was speaking with, and I wrote down everything they said. I was like, yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. Great. I really was writing it down for myself, but it shows that you're actually interested. You're actually listening. You're actually taking in what they're saying. And you're like, oh, like this person cares, because she's just not sitting there like, oh, I'm going to memorize everything that you just said. No, I'm going to write it down. I'm going to think about it. On July 30th, which I believe was a Monday, I wrote a thank you email to the person who was over the position. I emailed her, thanked her for the opportunity. In that thank you email, I did mention some things that me and her had talked about. So just so it was a personal thank you. It wasn't just, thanks for letting me interview, bye. It was more like specific to the job and what I can do and how I think that I'm a good fit. It is Monday, August 6th. And they told me I would find out either the 6th or the 7th. I was so nervous all day, I couldn't eat. Like I literally had a donut this morning and 2 bites of a salad. Heard nothing. There's still time. I just really thought like today would be the day. Y'all know how I am. Like in my doctoral video that y'all saw, the exact same thing. I just want to know, just rip the Band-Aid off. Like it's like playing with my emotions. Like, can I go home? Like, am I really going home or am I not? I've been living in the future as if I already have the job. So I'm like, oh yeah, when I get back to Atlanta, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna be on my stuff, But it's like, girl, you don't even know if you have it in the bag. But I have a really, really, really good chance. Like a really good chance. Just praying to God in heaven, please. Please give this to me. So then it was a waiting game. For work for 2 weeks, I literally had my phone like this on me. I was just like, whatever 404-770-678 number calls me, I'm answering. August 14th is when I found out that I had got the job. And it's funny because August 14th was the day that I started working here at UTEP in El Paso. And a year to the day. It could have been the day before, could have been the day after, but no, exactly 365 days. So I was like, this is meant to be. And it's so funny, I went on Facebook. August 14th was the day that I slept at Howard for the first time in my dorm by myself. So I didn't have a roommate yet. And I slept at Howard by myself, August 14th, in the annex. And it's just like new beginnings. Like, how can you make this up? Like, a year to the day. So I was just thanking God in heaven, like this is a sign, all the stars have aligned for me. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or if you have any tips that you want to share that I did not cover in this video, please leave them in the comments. I'm going to be reading them, responding to you guys. So I'm so happy that I can finally share this and share my journey as I always do. So I love you guys and I'll see you in my next video.